Windsor, Ontario. Are you ready to start the fights with me? Say yeah! Here we go, Windsor. Your first contest is in the strawweight division. The ladies are coming to the cage. First, making her way to the blue corner, this is Ashley LeTourneau.
L-H-A-M, you know it.
Fucking chances! I'm a killer, I'm a killing, I'm a killing! I'm a killer, I'm a killing, I'm a killing!
Night after day, after night, I work, hustle, kill, and I fight. Might as well give me the throne that you inherit. And while you're at it, give me the badge, cause I'm the sheriff.
Everybody back up! I want this! I want this! I want this! I'm bigger than a Mac truck! I want this! 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 Some people are walking blind, and other people fall in line. But I'm too busy chasing mine to let the world leave me behind. I'm going for mine. Getting to the top is just a matter of time until I get mine. Never looking back cause I'm on my grind. I'm going for mine. Take the bodies out, call the ambulances. I'm done giving first and second fucking chances. I'm a killer, I'm a killing, I'm a killing. I'm a killer, I'm a killing, I'm a killing. Everybody back up! I want this! I want this! I want this! I'm bigger than a Mac truck! I want this! I want this! I want this! I want this!
And her opponent, making her way out to the red corner, please welcome Megan Owen. And away we go, PFC fight fans. The following contest is being brought to you by the PFC in-house vendors, Martial Law Clothing, USG Canada, Sovereign Extracts, and Herb Angels. Scheduled for 3 rounds in the strawweight division. Here are your fighters. First, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks. Standing 5 feet 1 inch tall, she weighed in at 115 pounds. She's a kickboxing specialist representing Flow Water Martial Arts. She comes to the PFC cage looking for her first professional victory with a record of 0-1. Fighting out of and representing Kingston, Ontario, ladies and gentlemen, here is Ashley LeTourneau. Her opponent across the cage, fighting out of the red corner, also wearing solid black trunks. Standing 5 feet 4 inches tall, she weighed in at 113 pounds. She's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and kickboxing specialist, representing Central Combat Sports and MMA Masters. She comes to the PFC cage for her professional debut fight tonight. Fighting out of and representing Windsor, Ontario, ladies and gentlemen, here is Megan Owen. Referee Patrick Goulart with final fight instruction.
We went over the instructions in the back. Protect yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands at all times. If you want to touch gloves, do so now. Just back up.
Ladies and gentlemen, this PFC strawweight competition will be decided in 3 rounds or less.
All right, fight fans, we have our first fight of the evening of the Prospect Fighting Championships. We have Megan Owen fighting out of the red corner wearing the tank top and black compression shorts. And we have Ashley LeTourneau in the bra top and also black compressions out of the blue gloves. So we'll see them right off the rip. We see Megan drop a long jab. And I mean, if she can have a lot of success with that, and she's going high-low, which is really great. I mean, to work her way in. As we know, she is a grappler, so she's kind of gotten into a position that is going to be successful for her.
And when that bone hits that thigh, that quadricep muscle, it's really shocking in those first few. That is what helped her close the distance. Now in chest to chest, she'll just start, watch her left hand. Her left hand is going to try to dig inside that arm. And then right there, see her left hand just digging underneath, and now she's got it under, and her hand high, and she'll look to work in and around those legs, get behind the legs.
And even seeing the foot stomp from Megan, she seems like she has a lot more experience coming into this cage than this being her pro debut. I mean, especially she was going high-low, now she's foot stomping, a lot of different things you see kind of with more veterans.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's hard for people when we watch this at home to you know, imagine what's happening, but you're having to deploy all this different focus to all these different areas. She'll take her down here. It is your job when you join your hands that you must complete the takedown, and she does.
Well, she did a good job of softening her up with a bunch of uppercuts, right? It is making LeTourneau a little more vulnerable to get that takedown. Changed her level and got her to the canvas.
So you'll see here, they call it half guard, but what the key element here that's important is you want to take the diagonal. So the left shoulder flat and the right hip flat of your opponent.
And basically, Megan Owen just trying to soften her up a bit, because the key is for the referee, they're looking at volume, you know, and if she can start putting some punches together, if she can posture up and get some space and start, you know, especially with a newer fighter, they have a tendency to give up more quickly.
So you see underneath, when your opponent underneath is trying to buck like that, you know, you're trying to kick and buck your way out, it actually uses a lot of energy, just a ton of energy, and slowly it becomes harder and harder to do. So when you're in the top position here, you can feel your opponent start to slow down. You can feel their breathing. You can feel a little bit of a wheeze. They have a little less energy on each kick as they try to get their way out.
You know, I think Megan Owen, though, would be well served to try and, if she can get into mount, if she can get on top of her and posture up and start raining down shots, because Ashley really in a defensive position right now. She's trying to throw a few from the bottom to show the referee that she's, you know, still into it, she's still active, but this is where Megan needs to kind of get that posture.
The job here is you gotta get up. So, and now, in this case, she'll try to push off the fence, or the other option, what she's trying to do, is re-guard. So get both of your legs around your opponent. That takes some of that leverage away. You have 4 limbs in play. Your 2 legs on the bottom and your 2 arms, but here in this position, it's a rough one. She's gonna get passed again.
And this is where we're going to see, you know, Megan, and it could be a result, too, of that extra weight that she carries over her opponent. You know, she's walking around a little 10 pounds heavier than her opponent, which really helps if you're top dominant.
Yeah, 10 pounds is a lot.
For that weight especially.
Yeah, it's 9% of your body weight. Now here she wants to pass those legs and either settle in or punch.
Even though she's a grappler, she did so well on her feet. I mean, she did some veteran moves on her feet. So, I mean, I wouldn't be too shy to even, not be concerned if Ashley wanted to get up.
It's just such a dominant position. When you're on top of somebody in a mixed martial arts contest, not only are you hurting them, but you have them trapped in a spot where they can't hurt you. So you feel super confident here on the top. From our vantage point, you can also see the musculature of LeTourneau's back. Like, this is a real athlete right here. And so she's bigger, stronger, positionally dominant. This is a really rough place to be, mangled up underneath here. So that isn't a real choke. It would be very rare to finish that without an arm in.
No, she just needs to push that knee up and create some space there.
It really is a triangled leg scissor. So it looks like something. Oh, but she's going to try and attack the right arm. There, Kimura, she was going to try to use it to attack the right arm, but what she did gain, though, is a guard back. She now has both her legs wrapped around her opponent, which is a stronger position.
So you're starting to see Megan Owen drop a little bit more leather, body head, trying to be a little bit more active, even though, at this point she has the round, but she wants to make a statement to make sure that if they get out of this round, Ashley's a little bit more concerned about this position.
And if you ding your opponent enough times in that last minute, especially in the last 15 seconds. Oh, there's an arm bar now. She's up in it. Now it's on a weird angle, so she's going to try to backstep around, and she does. But these last, 15 seconds now, if you hit your opponent a few times here, it affects their ability to recover and hear their coach in that minute, right? If your head's going, wee, you can't hear your coach. So it's a good time to hurt somebody.
I would say Ashley LeTourneau, though, did a good job of mitigating damage because it could have had a worse outcome in that first round by Megan Owen. Megan really pushed the pace and brought that intensity. And we'll see how much wear and tear that was on LeTourneau when she comes back into the second round.
And the big picture is, sometimes you just have to deal with the reality, right? The reality is you're on top, I'm underneath, and you're punching me. You can't worry about, well, wouldn't it be better if we were standing? We're not standing, we're here. So you accept it and you do the best you can in the position you have. And that's what she did. You look at it, as you pointed out, she didn't take that much damage considering she had a bigger, stronger grappler on top of her, elbowing and punching her.
Well, this is where Ashley LeTourneau has to come out of the second round and ensure that they keep it standing. She was on the Canadian kickboxing team. She's got to bring that to the table, not overcommit forward where Megan Owen is just going to kind of run you down and close the distance.
Yeah, and that all starts with where we are in conjunction to each other.
Make some noise, Windsor,
relation
round
to
2 for your fighter.
People often talk about defending a takedown. There is no takedown if I can't get a hold of you, right? So it starts with where you're positioned within the cage. The good kickboxers and boxers and strikers can move their feet so that you can't even get a hold of them, and that's the key.
All right, round number 2, we have Megan Owen in the red gloves and the tank top, and we have Ashley LeTourneau, the blue, and then she just basically rushed forward, bullied forward. Yep. Megan Owen brings her right up against the cage where she wants her back. Because you can see Megan actually has a mouse under her left eye, which she might have been hit by a right hand earlier in that first round. So she knew to close the gap quickly.
So Ashley...
big elbow from Megan Owen. Megan doing a good job of going upstairs, downstairs, and she has success with that, which helps her get Ashley to the ground. A nice reverse from Ashley LeTourneau.
Ashley's doing much better here in this standing grappling position. There's a certain amount where you just have to refuse to accept that you're going down. And
it didn't turn out well for her in the first round, so, that bit of knowledge coming into this, she knows she doesn't want to end up back down there.
And some of that knowledge when we're watching, we're thinking, oh, well, she thinks this, or a lot of this is just instinct now. You're using the part of the brain that you've been training your whole life to just allow it to happen, and that's what she's doing here.
You're seeing Megan Owen, she's using her head a lot, using the braids in her hair. I've had that done to me before, where you're just pressing up against, your opponent's head. It's kind of a grind, almost like lacing somebody's face. It's very similar, and it's something difficult that you have to pay attention to on defense.
If Megan is able to take her down at this point, it'll be because of the athleticism. Like, look at the shape that she's in, and look at the positioning of her body. You know, she's using like biomechanically sound position to get her left shoulder, now her right shoulder, use her legs strongly underneath her, and this is smart. Separate a little bit and throw punches to the bigger, stronger fighter.
And then she typically changes her level. Like we've seen her throw punches, and then you keep you distracted by blocking punches, and then she changes her level.
That's beautifully done. You just drag right here. You pull down on the top of that. Oh, but look at how it worked out. Now that guillotine is in there really fairly deep, and she's in a great position. What you want is your sternum on the back of the head here. See how she's moving her head towards the head? A lot of times we picture somebody leaning straight back. It's actually a fold, what you want to accomplish here. A fold as you fold that chin over top of the radius bone of the arm.
Well, Megan's going to be in a little bit of trouble if her head pops out, and she now is at top position dominant. So we'll see if she can work that out. It's very slippery, too, when you have hair like that. It has a tendency to slide out a little quicker.
You know, from our position, I don't know if the camera will see it, but you can see the left ear right now of Ashley. You can see how, like Kara, we can see her left ear. If you can see the left ear, you can see that little bit of the neck where the artery is. You know, you're trying to block the arterial flow of blood to the brain, away from the heart towards the brain. If you can see that little bit of neck, it's not being cut off. So
here it pops out. And Ashley is a corner really happy with this outcome, you know, her ending up on top. She's trying to, you know, jock for position first to see what she can do for that. Trying to get to side mount.
I'm curious if our viewers at home can hear the corner, because they're literally right beside us.
And we'll see how if she can drop some leather. There she goes, dropping a bit, and then she ends up in this position. Oh, and good turn of events for Megan Owen.
Now it's a choke, but this is a fairly deep choke as well, and you can see again, now it's the armpit on the back of the skull that's trying to fold the head over that arm, and it's fairly tight in there. But see how she's leaning away? See how Ashley's leaning away? You want to put your head up on top. Instead of stretching out, you want to fold in. But it's tight, nonetheless.
And this is big for LeTourneau, because this could be, you know, sealed around for her if she could keep, you know, kind of pulling on this, yanking on this. You see Megan Owen trying to soften her up a bit, you know, wear her body out just a little bit, trying to walk the cage, trying to get a different position.
She can actually, well, the right arm is tied up. If she frees that right arm, if Megan on top frees her right arm, she can actually use her right shoulder to choke Ashley. It's called a Von Flew choke, and you've trapped. See, Ashley's right arm is actually stuck on that neck right now. No, she's gonna get out. She's out.
And this is where Owen needs to just posture up, drop some leather, just to, you know, make sure she seals that round, whereas Ashley's really got to, you know, hang on tight to her.
It's a tough one when you've been in some good positions, but you've probably still lost the round. It's a tough one. I mean, Megan is fighting very, very hard on top. She's very heavy on top. But it's a tough back and forth fight between these two. But I think Megan Owen has won both of those rounds.
I do too. Yeah, I think she did enough damage when she had LeTourneau up against the cage. She had a chance to do enough damage there. And I really, this is where Ashley LeTourneau has to get on her bike. She's got to use her footwork and make sure Megan Owen doesn't just rush her straight back, because really Megan's coming out throwing 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, or just rushing her to the cage because she knows she's had success there. And Ashley, with her kickboxing experience, she should be able to go in and out, and use your pendulum step and get out, right? So
or move in a circle instead of a straight line, you know, like a lateral movement. But it's easy. It's so easy for us to say. You coach great athletes every single day, and we want them to perform a certain way, but stress, pressure, fatigue, even thinking is very fatiguing. This level of focus is really, really tough. So if you're coaching...
Here we go, Windsor,
Darren
make some
Cruikshank,
noise. The third and final round of this matchup.
He can handle this kind of stuff. These athletes are in their first or second fight. It's hard for them to digest these pieces of information now, and it's happening so fast.
that's what reps are all about. You have to practice circling, circling, be able to fight going to the right and the left. And here we go.
Backwards.
This is round number 3. Megan Owen in the tank top and the red. And we have LeTourneau in the blue up against the cage.
And literally, LeTourneau backed away. Now, what LeTourneau was probably thinking, or her mind was probably trying to process, is, I've got to hit you while I'm backing up. But backing straight up, there's still a cage eventually going to touch your back, and that's where we are now. But again, it's, you know, something as simple. She'll watch this fight after. She'll like, oh, I wish I moved to the right or the left. But in these moments, it's really tough to ask your mind to make these conscious choices. But you're right. That's why you rep them. That's why that's why a fighter, you know, 12 years into the process is able to do it so much smoother.
But I'm thinking, like, you look at a record at 0-1 and so far losing, you know, the first 2 rounds. It's her initial move coming out of the corner that has been her, you know, to her detriment. So that's the one thing that she'd have to work on.
Because if you, and it's like a flow, and life is like this, everything is like this. If you make a certain choice right now, it leads to an infinite series of other choices. If she chose to move to her right or her left instead of straight back, none of this scenario is happening right now. But it is, if you are Megan Owen, you're on top here, and you've been on top for 7 minutes of the last 10, you know this is where you want to win the fight. So priority 1, of course I want to hurt my opponent. Of course I want to advance my position. But priority 1 is, at all costs, don't lose this position. Because we're going to win the fight here.
Yeah, I think what happens to you when you come into a fight like this and you know your opponent, you've done so much research, and you said to you, oh, my opponent was a Canadian kickboxing team. All you think about is rush them to the cage. But I really think that Megan could have stood with her and given herself that opportunity, but you get so invested in that game plan that you don't necessarily change when you come in and realize, hey, just because I have these credentials, I still could be better.
And look at this. That's beautiful to see. You know, she's getting beat up. She's had 2 tough rounds, although she's had good minutes in the second round. And to reverse it like that, that's just heart and will and the desire to win. You know, it was technically good choices that helped her reverse that, but it was really will. And that's beautiful. That's why we watch fighting. But, you know, to your point earlier, of course, you're thinking as a coach again, Anna, as a professional fighter, because you would love to see your athlete get those minutes of standing, because this is something she'll need. But the fighter in here right now is just like, I want to win, and this is winning. So
I guess for me, winning's not enough. It's getting to the next
100%.
level. And whatever I want my athletes to do, hey, what's a level up? Standing, knocking somebody out, you sign those big contracts
big
next.
Time. and that's what you want to be thinking. But what I'm saying is, it's actually, if you discussed it with her after, she'd say, it would have been great if I stood for a few minutes and got that experience.
But
her brain right now is defaulting to the thing that works. It's overriding her natural thinking, and her brain is saying, this works, and it's just, you automatically keep doing what works, especially when you're young in the game. This is a really cool position here. She's got her back up against the thighs. So Ash can push off with both feet, right? And you push and try to reverse. But look at the right hip flat, and the low right back is squashing those thighs, so there's no space to really kick off. Still think she can reverse this.
It's funny to see her toes in the cage. Usually you don't get away with it that often, but, you know, she's not utilizing it to her advantage as much.
Now, if you were using it, usually these reps are concerned with, if you do something to change the way the fight is going, that's their biggest concern. But man, I really like this Megan Owen too. Can you imagine how fatigued she's feeling? Yeah, she's
isolating
trapped the left arm.
Isolating that arm. Got a few clean shots off. There wasn't much to it, but it was enough to distract LeTourneau.
So really cool little detail that people will see here if they look. And that is, whenever the left shoulder is not there, I'll point it out when it is there, you use your shoulder to turn the chin. And when you turn the chin, the direction the face is facing is the only direction the fighter on the bottom can move. Because if I point your chin west, you cannot turn east.
Yeah, these guys did a good job. They prepared well for this in terms of their conditioning. It's pretty fantastic. 30 seconds left in this fight.
There is a sweep here she's going for, a sweep from that lockdown position, but I don't think it's there. She's going to be mounted here.
Well, Megan's really top heavy too, right, in terms, like, she uses her weight distribution really well on top, and it's a little bit tougher for LeTourneau. But LeTourneau, man, a fighter through and through for 3 rounds, and she adapted well in the rounds.
Yeah. but Megan Owen is a good fighter, but really great athletic platform. Like, you know, her physicality, her drive, their anaerobic capacity to just keep pushing and pushing. I mean, that was very, very impressive. But both fighters did really well. I mean, you saw LeTourneau was on the bottom for, 10 or 11 minutes of those 15 minutes. And she jumps right up, and she never really folded. Like, that's a good young fighter, too.
You know, I'm it's great for Megan Owen, too, to get a chance to compete in Windsor in front of her hometown crowd. This is your debut, and she did well. I mean, she grinded it out, acquiring some new fans here that may have come for another Windsor fighter, not necessarily.
Yeah,
so it's kind of cool that way. I don't know if LeTourneau, has the impression that she did better, but I think just the dominant position of Megan Owen, she had a chance to drop a lot more leather. Even though LeTourneau made some great adjustments, I don't think she came away with this fight.
I don't think so. I don't think the judges will see LeTourneau taking the fight necessarily either, but I think I would be quite proud if I was her. Like, you never really took a step, I was going to say took a step backward. Truthfully, that's a metaphorical term. Truthfully, she took a lot of steps backward, and that was one of the errors early that allowed her to be put on her back, but she continued to fight the fight head on, even from the bottom, and that's really admirable.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause, please, for both of the fighters in this cage. After 3 rounds of professional mixed martial arts, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. Judge McNeil, Judge Chirico, and Judge Costello, all 3 score this contest 30-27 for your winner by unanimous decision, Megan Owen.
All right, Megan, congratulations. So your pro debut in Windsor in front of your hometown crowd, what was that like?
It's amazing. I can't believe how much love and support I've had from everybody. I couldn't be more grateful and honored to be here and put on a show for you guys.
What can you take away from this fight tonight?
Well, my opponent was an amazing fight, and honestly, I'm just stolen for words. I'm just really happy to be here.
All right, talk to me about your training leading up to the fight tonight, including your team.
Well, I have a great team over here at Central Combat, and also Amateur Boxing Club with my coach Cedric Ben. And we've also been able to go to Miami and train with our family there at MMA Masters. I'm sorry, I'm just so excited to be here.
Yeah, how does it feel to get the first one out of the way? And you're undefeated now.
Woo, it just feels amazing. I can't tell you how happy I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Round of applause for your winner one more time while she gets those victory pictures, Megan Owen.